up. I'm Raven, your acid bath princess of the darkness.
And I'm Tara.
And we're sitting here in Tara's room, rocking out to MCR and celebrating 2009, or the new year, which...
Hello, friends, and welcome to My Chemical Fancast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Haley.
And this is a podcast all about My Chemical Romance. Today, we have a very special guest who you may know. You may know her by several names. She is Raven, the acid bath princess of the darkness, and also Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, guys.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm really glad to be here. How are y'all?
We're excited.
We're excited.
We're so stoked to be here. Like, our minds were blown. I put, like, a YouTube notification bell on that channel.
Oh my
I
gosh.
never expected it to, like, come back with anything.
Well, surprise.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That's awesome.
If you guys don't know, which I hope you would by now, Sarah is one of the comic geniuses behind the infamous New Year's video, a shout out from Tara and Raven, which we parodied very badly a few years ago.
Oh, gosh.
When it was the 10-year anniversary.
It was honestly one of the hardest things to do because I couldn't stop laughing.
You really could not. It took us like hours.
It literally took so long because I could not get myself under control because I was Raven and I could not do it.
But you had to be Raven because you had the hair.
I know, but it's really hard. So.
I love that.
It's, honestly, it's really impressive as a 17-year-old that you were able to keep such composure doing something that you knew was parody and that you knew was really, like, it was supposed to be funny and that you guys were able to keep a straight face through that.
Thank you. To be fair, Tara is my younger sister, and we did spend a lot of our childhood together working on various comedic projects. So by the time we started filming those videos together, we knew that, we'd be able to riff off of each other and say just the most outlandish stuff. Our videos were probably they were mostly improvised, probably 95% improvised. I think, it has been many years since we've actually done them, so I could be remembering things wrong, but pretty much the only time I ever properly remember, sitting down to plan something out was when we did that New Year's video, because we had to think of a list of really outlandish things that our characters would like as well as, dislike. And so I think that's probably the video that took the most planning.
Right. I think it paid off.
Yeah,
I
I'd
like
say
the part
so.
about Davey Havok's new hair. That's
oh my god,
part.
right, but don't y'all remember? It was a big deal back then.
Yeah, it was.
It was such a big deal.
And it was like a trend-setting moment for emo hair in general.
Oh, totally, yeah. Not to mention, it kind of coincided with AFI's, new direction,
Right.
Yeah. I vividly, what is that song? I don't know. The song where they have the music video in the snow, I have such a vivid memory.
Is that
of
Miss Murder or something?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So give us some more background on these characters. So you and Tara are sisters. You were doing these comedic things already. Azer, I guess, was one of your friends.
Yeah, a family friend that was visiting from out of town just for, maybe a day or something. And so, we had all played together as kids when we all used to live in the same place. And so whenever they were over, we asked them and we were like, hey, do you want to come, make these silly videos with us? And they said yes. And so that's how Azer came into the picture.
And you mentioned also, I think, that you were sort of emo when you were a little bit younger than you were in the video.
Oh my god, yeah. Okay, so a little bit of background about me. I went through a, goth/emo phase when I was 12 through 14. I think I started slowly coming out of it by the time I was around 15 or so, but I was always different. So I don't really know when my cutoff point was, because it wasn't I stopped being emo and then all of a sudden I just started wearing Hollister the next day, Right. I've never worn Hollister. So, when I was 12 through 14-ish, I I was totally an emo, but I didn't want to cop to being emo because nobody wanted to be emo at the time, right?
That's right.
Right.
So I insisted that I was goth, and I was very much not goth. But, I insisted that I was goth because nobody really wanted to be emo, and I didn't want to be emo because to me the biggest differentiator between the two was that goths were a lot tougher than emos, and this was early 2000s, right? And so at the time, nobody really wanted to admit that they had feelings and that they were angsty and stuff. And so, I didn't want anyone to consider me emo because to me that was like the biggest sign of weakness. And, 20 years later, I'm now very much a self-proclaimed very open adult emo, but it took me a while to get there. But, so I went through this super cringy phase on my own when I was 12 through 14ish. Whenever I got out of it, I started listening to punk a lot more. So I went from listening to like AFI and stuff to The Casualties and Rancid. And that's kind of a big difference in terms of like music tastes. And so when I was 15, 16, listening to all of that stuff, all of a sudden, oh my God, like AFI, all of that music that I used to listen to, that seemed so embarrassing and so cringy. And at the time, around 16, 17, I really wanted some sort of career in comedy, basically. I had discovered improv whenever I was 13 or so and pretty much fell in love with it immediately. And even if I had different career goals over the years, comedy was still one of those things that was definitely a focus of mine and an interest of mine. And so I discovered 4chan around 2006, and then
wow, didn't expect this turn.
Yeah, well, it's very important, right? So because I discovered 4chan back then, I kind of learned the art of the troll, basically. And so around 17, was really interested in comedy, had already found out about 4chan. So I decided that YouTube was relatively new. I wanted to create these comedy characters in order to troll people. And I was secretly hoping that, these videos would go viral, basically, and might even lead to bigger things for me. That didn't really quite happen, and, but hey, whatever. Tara and I started filming in August of 2007, and we started our YouTube channel and started actually uploading these videos in July of 2008. And so to create these characters, I basically decided that in order to be like the perfect troll, because I knew what it was like to be such an angsty, emo little mall goth kid or whatever, I just needed to create a character that would really piss off little baby Sarah, basically.
Right.
And I think a lot of people forget that around 2007 or so, emo kids, mall goths, people who liked Twilight, people who liked My Chemical Romance, all of these subgroups were pretty much everyone's punchline. So,
yes, absolutely.
It made perfect sense for me to choose those characters. And because I had gone through my own super cringy phase just like that, I already had a leg up on the psychology of what exactly I needed to do to get under people's skin. So, for example, when I was 12 through 14, Hot Topic was life. I was obsessed with Hot Topic. I loved it so much. And so, I knew that when creating Raven and Tara, we needed to mention Hot Topic a lot. Oh, yeah. And I also remembered that whenever I was that age, I was very, very protective of the music that I listened to and very protective of my identity, like as a goth, right? And so, yeah, I knew that I just had to stay fully committed to the fact that my character proclaimed to be goth despite doing everything out there that was like not goth at all. So yeah,
That's incredible.
it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I severely relate to that feeling of like, oh, I'm not emo. I do all these things, but like, I'm not emo because that's super lame.
Yeah, exactly.
And trying to be a goth instead, because that was cooler.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, like, I think one of the reasons that those videos were so effective and stay so popular is because you were a true emo, like back in the day. Like, a lot of people made emo jokes like about kids like that, but yours are just, they're very good because that's why people had such a hard time telling if they were real or not, because they seemed like they could have been real.
Yeah. I think also that I'm really good at deadpan, and I have this natural intensity to my personality, basically. And so, you mix those two, and I think it makes something that, I thought was pretty obviously a joke. I think it makes it even harder to tell, like, what's really going on. Because, because sure, here and there, Tara and I drop these one-liners that are just absolutely ridiculous. And, we have one video out there where we start and Tara's wearing vampire fangs. And they just look really ridiculous. And so there's, in revisiting these videos all these years later, I'm cracking myself up because there are so many little subtle things that we did that just make all of this so obvious. It was a troll from the start, but I think that, because we're women and because we were really young women, I had that deadpan and that intensity, I think all of that just made it so much harder for people to overlook.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And I think also that the fact that there were actually kids like that acted like that, and dressed like that and talked like that with that same intensity, I think that also made it hard, because I definitely knew kids in like middle school and high school who acted exactly like that, and it was real.
Yeah.
So I think that also made it hard for people to discern what was real and not.
Yeah.
So when you guys first posted the videos, what kind of response did you see from people?
Honestly, not anything like I was hoping. I even posted some of our first videos on 4chan because I was trying to troll people. I was hoping that these videos would get some traction. So I was hoping that people would see these videos and they would be so offended that, here were these kids proclaiming to be goth, yet doing things that were very much not goth. So we got a lot of backlash. I did expect some of it because, again, I knew what I was getting myself into. But I was expecting backlash more along the lines of like, oh my God, how dare you call yourself a goth when, you're listening to Good Charlotte? Or how dare you call yourself a goth when you're not wearing all black or you're wearing pink or something like that. But instead, a lot of the comments that we received were really, really negative and cruel, and it was less about the comedy that we were presenting and more about ourselves. And so pretty much from the start, because people thought these were real, and YouTube in 2008 was so much more different than it is now. Now social media is so ingrained in our lives, and we have all of our accounts are linked to all these different sites, right? So it's a hell of a lot harder to be mean to people on the internet. But in 2008, it was so much easier. So we got a lot of really awful hate, and at the time it was something that, at first I could write off and just kind of laugh about and be like, oh, haha, it's proof that I'm trolling them because they can't tell that it's real. But the thing is, we just got these comments pretty much every single day from 2008 onward. And it was a lot, because it was really negative stuff. Like, people were telling us that our parents should have aborted us. They were telling us that they hoped our whole family got cancer and died. They were telling us to kill ourselves. They were, all of the easy insults for insulting young people online, right? Like, saying that we were really ugly, drawing attention to the fluctuations in our weight throughout the videos. And then, Tara was going through the comments on a few of these videos the other day, and she took a screenshot of one that was left 3 years ago, where someone implies they're going to rape and murder me.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude.
And so, like, we totally had comments that were people who, who could tell that this was all fake and that we were joking. And so we had so many comments from people that were like, oh my God, keep it up. You guys are comedic geniuses. This is the best example of trolling that I've ever seen, things like that. But it was all drowned out by all of this really terrible negativity that we received. And, I was 17 when we started filming the videos, and Tara was younger than me. She was about 15, but our characters looked a lot younger than that. And that was partially by design, because first of all, who the hell is going to believe a 17-year-old that looks like they're, they're 10 if they're saying like, hey, sup, I'm 17. But also, just for the whole comedy of it, the people that we were trying to troll would have been trolled the most by people that were 13. So it just kind of made sense that way. But, to see those comments every single day directed at characters that were children, characters that were acted by minors, it was really disheartening, and over time probably pretty harmful in a few ways, because if somebody says that, you're a fat, ugly bitch and you're a clear example of a failed abortion or whatever, then, the first time when, you're 17, that's funny. But then when they keep saying it for years and years and years afterwards, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, it takes a toll.
Yeah, and so for me, the toll that it really took it took a really big toll on all three of us. But also, because YouTube was a totally different place back then, it wasn't like we could make a video and say, hey guys, please stop telling us to kill ourselves because all three of us suffer from depression, Like, that would have just added fuel to the fire, basically.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah. But I think the toll that it took on me that I've really noticed over the past few days is that the comments were much more different and much more personal than just saying, like, I don't like your brand of comedy. And so over time, it led me to believe that not only did people not like my comedy, but nobody thought I was funny. And, I guess, the art that I had created and that I was so proud of, there was no way in hell that anybody actually appreciated it. And so when I came out a few days ago, I was met with all of this love and support and all of these messages from people who were just so excited that I came out and so excited to tell me that, they loved the videos. They thought they were hilarious. These videos helped them through really difficult times, blah, blah, blah. All of this shit that I just wasn't expecting at all. And so that's been really cool and definitely really painful in a few ways too. But, it's been a wild ride, to say the least.
Yeah, it's such a crime that someone made you feel like you weren't funny because you're hilarious. I want to fight them.
Oh, thank you.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
I'm just glad now that the internet has changed, and I'm glad that, because to me it seems like, at least so far, from what I've experienced, people are making an effort to be a little bit nicer to each other, and I think that has a lot to do with a new generation of internet users.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 31, and I didn't really grow up with the internet. Like, it was there when I was a young person, but it wasn't anything that I seriously started using until probably, like, late middle school, very early high school. And even then, that was still kind of, like, uncharted territory, you know? Like, social media didn't become a thing until I was in high school. And so now, though, there's this whole generation of kids who have grown up with the internet, like, from the beginning, and they don't know a world without Facebook or a world without Instagram. And
yeah, it's a lot harder to be anonymous now, too.
Exactly. And so I think, like, that combination of people just growing up with the internet and then also knowing that you can't exactly be anonymous forever, I think that's led this new generation of internet users to just be a lot kinder to people, you know? Because they know now that you can't get away with that stuff.
Yeah, you'll get called out.
Yeah, exactly.
So looking back on that time when you guys first started posting the videos and when you didn't receive the reaction that you thought you might, what would you say to your 17-year-old self regarding anything around that time?
Oh my gosh. Like knowing what I know now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would totally tell baby Sarah, like, not to give up and to just, like, not let people get to her. And I think the biggest thing I would tell her is that, you know, people think you're funny even if you don't think so. And even if you're being met with a lot of negativity, people actually think you're funny. So don't stop. Don't get discouraged. Don't turn your back on this, because this has the potential to turn into something really great if you just keep at it.
Yeah. Were you, like, totally, like, completely unaware of how into your videos people were until, like, a few days ago?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Wow.
Well, I mean, the comments were so discouraging and so negative that eventually Tara and I just stopped paying attention. And so, you know, when we started noticing that some of our videos were starting to go viral, like they'd been ripped from our YouTube channel and had been posted in segments like on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, we never paid attention to the comments or what people were saying, because we assumed that it was going to be the same stuff. And yeah, the fact that this whole time these videos have had such a large impact on people is totally new to me and totally unexpected. And I've cried multiple times over the past few days because of this, because I mean, first of all, it's really overwhelming, but also, you know, I'm just so happy to know that this thing that I was so proud of at the time, that over time I felt like I kind of had to move past. It's just really, really beautiful to know that people actually cared, and they cared this whole time. Yeah, dude,
you're like an icon. And I want to tell you a little factoid.
Please.
Which I wish I could have found the tweet to verify this, but I know that it happened because I saw it with my own eyes. And this isn't as impactful to you as it is to us.
I don't know. I'm so excited now. Hey, I'm an MCR fan now.
I know. But okay, so I like vividly remember a few New Years ago, someone posted the New Year's video and tagged Lindsay Way in it, and she saw it. She saw it, and
what?
I swear to God. I wish I could find that tweet for you.
Oh my God,
but I swear to God.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
I was sitting here, when you said that you had something to say, I was sitting here like secretly hoping, oh my God, is it about Gerard? Has he seen our videos? And what?
I think he has, because I vividly remember that tweet about Lindsay being like,
right?
It's so funny.
Oh my God. I had no idea.
I'm determined to find it. I will find it and send it to you because I know
Will you
for sure this
please?
happened.
Yeah, I know it's there.
Oh my god!
I think there was like such a mystery around you guys that people were like, this is like, how do you stay anonymous for this long? And this is fucking awesome that these two girls are just so funny. And
I think Lindsay said, like, I hope they're queens of the universe now or something. I forget what she said.
Oh my
Something like
gosh.
that.
hold on, I'm gonna find it.
But yeah, dude, I'm so glad I got to tell that to you.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
This is true Raven. I was like, if Raven is ever real, she would like this.
Yes! So much. Wow. That's so cool. I'm stunned. I'm seriously so stunned.
Oh man, it's because you're like an actual icon. I hope that you get to like discover that more, like now that you are out about it, you know, and you have your Raven accounts. People stand so much.
I'm definitely discovering it. I think just like you know, my experience on YouTube was so scarring that at this point, you know, everything just seems so surreal because I'm just waiting for like the bottom to fall out, basically. And to wake up one day and to realize that, you know, no one cared and that
oh god,
everyone's, you know, hating on me again.
It's not true.
I was so nervous to come out, you guys. Like, I was so nervous.
Yeah.
The video that I filmed coming out, I had to first of all, it took me like hours to film what ended up being just like a 2-minute video or whatever. But I had to reposition the way that I was sitting because I was so nervous my leg wouldn't stop bouncing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I was expecting a totally different outcome. I'm sure if I knew what would happen, I would have like waltzed into it with so much more confidence. But
well, that's wild to me that you were expecting such a different outcome. I mean, obviously, what else could you expect after the initial reaction you guys got from the video?
Yeah.
So that's totally natural and normal to expect something bad.
It's traumatizing.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's so brave, honestly, that you were even willing to come out when you expected the worst from this.
I mean, so I felt pressured into coming out is the thing. Like, because all of the feedback had been so negative, Tara and I kind of decided a few years ago that we just wanted to keep the mystery alive for as long as we possibly could. And we even had rules as to like how long we would wait before telling people about these videos.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we had everything pretty much like on lock. And I'm a professional dominatrix, and over time, because for work, my work persona, Petra Hunter, she has a pretty online presence. And over time, people started to approach Petra through, you know, my work accounts or whatever. And they would ask, you know, hey, mistress, have you seen this video? Because this looks like you. And then I would just have to say, like, oh my gosh, you know, I've seen those videos and I know it's so funny we look alike, but I was just so thankful that at the time the characters that I had created were a good 5 to 6 years younger than I actually was, because then I could tell people, you know, I've seen those videos, those girls are hilarious, I hope they're killing it out there, but it's just not me because I was in college before they even started high school. And then that was enough to keep people at bay, pretty much. But then about like 2018, I started getting approached as Petra, maybe about like twice a year, like once every 6 months. And it was usually just by one person at a time, so it was really easy for me to just deny it. Things started picking up steam a little bit more in 2019. In 2020, I started getting asked probably every 3 to 4 months. And then around the fall of 2020, like in September or so, there was a TikTok that linked Raven to Petra. And so all of a sudden, Petra's Instagram got like 50 followers in 4 hours or something, which was unheard of at the time. And a bunch of different DMs from people saying, like, hey, there's somebody on TikTok saying that you are Raven, the Acid Bath Princess of the Darkness. And so that was kind of like that was definitely a moment where I remember thinking, okay, shit, I might not be able to keep this a secret for that much longer. And so I talked with Tara about it, and we agreed that, you know, if I had to, if it was time to come forward, then I could come forward. But if it wasn't time, then, you know, don't bother with it. So I didn't end up coming forward in the fall or even really thinking about it. And then around the very end of December of 2020, probably like around the 28th or so, there was another TikTok that went crazy viral that linked Petra and Raven. And this time, instead of like 50 followers in 4 hours, I was getting hundreds of new followers. And by the 30th of December, Petra was being tagged in all of these different meme accounts, and just so many followers. And it was so obvious to me that things were beginning to spiral pretty much out of my control. And so I felt that because there was such a mystery around who Tara and Raven really were, I was worried that somebody would get so caught up in wanting to be, you know, the internet sleuth who solved the mystery that they would dox me, basically, in ways that they didn't realize at the time could be really damaging to me. Because, you know, the whole being a sex worker thing kind of complicates everything.
Yeah, and you want to keep your privacy, like, safe.
Yeah, exactly. So on December 31st, I got in touch with Tara, and I explained the situation, and I said, like, look, I'm so sorry. I know you don't want to be a part of this, but I really feel like I have to come out, or else, you know, it could just be really, really bad for me. And so we got in touch with Azer, and I asked Azer if they were okay with me coming out, and they said they were. And so, yeah, I spent December 31st and January 1st pretty much like throwing together just a last-minute plan in place. I didn't have very much planning at all. All I really wanted to do was just make the video, come forward, pretty much say, like, yes, fine, you caught me, I'm a dominatrix, ooh, you know? And I thought that everything would blow over after that. I thought that maybe the videos would be seen by, like, 1,000 people. I was definitely expecting the same amount of backlash from YouTube, so I was expecting people to just really, really harass me. I thought that I was going to have to lock down Petra's accounts for a few weeks until everything blew over. But instead, like, the complete opposite happened. And something that I was so anxious about and so scared to do turns out to have been something that, I mean, it's still so early and I feel kind of foolish saying this, but in many ways it seems like it could be one of the best choices I've ever made.
Yeah, because you have a fair amount of followers now in your Raven accounts. Like, people are into it, dude. So, like, you can definitely leverage that if you wanted to.
Yeah. So I'm keeping my options open. I'm trying to figure out, like, where I want to go with this, and I decided that I was totally comfortable being out as Sarah and Raven and Petra. Yeah, so I'm really excited and just kind of waiting to see where all of this goes.
Dude, I love that. It's so fucking heartwarming. Like, I love that for you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm also, like, kind of not surprised, even if you weren't, like, online as Petra, I'm not surprised that this happened to you, because I think you and Tara got caught up in also the search for the My Immortal author, and people really believed, because Raven is part of the name of the main character, and then Tara is allegedly the name of the author. Her name is supposed to be Tara Gillespie. And especially recently, there have been many videos about people sleuthing this and, like, getting in contact with people who supposedly were the author, and it's like a very, like, mixed web of weird accounts and stuff. But that's been, like, resurging lately, so I'm not surprised that, like, people found you, because I think maybe it might be an offshoot of that too.
Yeah, and that whole thing is such a weird coincidence, and it's one of those things. It's like a one in a million, like stranger than fiction thing. Like,
Yeah, two names associated with this thing. Like, that's so bizarre.
yeah, and like, so I didn't know that My Immortal existed before filming these videos, and so I chose my name because Raven wasn't my first like mall goth cringy emo character. Like I'd had a few characters that I'd done in improv and stuff before, so I had a little bit of practice, and I knew that I wanted a name that was like it could very well be someone's real name, but it also had to be the kind of name that like a 13-year-old mall goth would love to have as a nickname.
Absolutely.
And so Raven was pretty much the only name I could think of that fit those specifications, because like anything else just wouldn't have really fit. And I don't really remember how I came up with the Acid Bath Princess of the Darkness part. I really feel like I kind of just grabbed a bunch of stereotypical like goth dark words you know, and just garbled them together and ran with them. I mean, I'm pretty sure I came up with that part, like, straight up on the spot, because, first of all, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what is an Acid Bath Princess of the Darkness? Like, what? Of all nicknames to give a character, like, what the fuck does that even mean? So,
there were strong My Immortal vibes, though, because that character's name doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, you know, the Raven in My Immortal has a totally different nickname or like full name than you know this one. And with Tara, I've always loved the contrast of something like over the top dark with just like innocence and light. So I wanted Tara to have a name that was super boring, super normal, almost even preppy, if you wanted to think about it that way. And yeah, so I just loved the contrast of Raven, the Acid Bath Princess of the Darkness, with Tara.
I love that combo. That was where Haley like couldn't live when we were doing it, because that was Tara and she always laughed.
It was just so damn funny. You would go, "I'm Tara."
It's just like, it's so perfect. And like that contrast is one of the reasons why we filmed in Tara's room, because like out of all of the rooms in the house, hers was the most innocent, you know, like white walls, blue polka dots. We have some videos that we film in front of like a peace sign poster, you know? It was like the least goth room in the house. And yeah, I loved that. And so I thought we should totally film there. And then you can see that contrast as well with like the wardrobe and whatnot. So yeah, I just loved that contrast. And then to find out, you know, a few years later that there was this terrible fan fiction that people thought we wrote, that was really weird too. And I promise you that if I had known about My Immortal, because I wanted these videos to go viral, I promise you I would have, I absolutely would have leveraged it. But I don't think our videos even mention Harry Potter once.
No.
Not to mention fan fiction. So like, I think really the only similarities that we have are that we have the same first names as characters, and that we're both relatively cringy characters. But other than that, like, that's it. And because everyone was making fun of emo kids at the time, I really don't think it's that special of a coincidence, because if anything, it kind of just proves that multiple people were telling the same joke at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah, for sure. So you said earlier that you feel comfortable in your like adult emo identity now. So what do you feel is the difference between being emo then and being emo now? Do you think it's easier for kids to be like emo now, dress how they want to?
Yeah, I do. I think, well, for a few reasons. I think mostly all cultural. I think now it's a lot easier for people to be open about their emotions, and even if they're not open about their emotions with their friends or their family, there's still social media. And so, you can get on Twitter and you can talk about how depressed you are or something like that, and you'll have that community there. And yeah, I think that also, just as the cultural climate has changed over the past decade or so, I think that people are a little bit more empathetic and people are a little bit more comfortable talking about things that used to be so taboo. That, I mean, don't get me wrong, mental health still is taboo, but I think that it's just a lot easier to talk about and a lot easier to be open about now than it was then. But that said, maybe I think it's easier because I'm not 13 anymore. Maybe I think it's easier because I've come to terms with the fact that I am a very sensitive person and I am a very angsty person. And instead of trying to hide those parts of myself or make fun of them, I'm wholeheartedly embracing them.
Yeah. I think you're right on the money. Like, it does seem like kids are having an easier time with it, but then also, like, I think Haley and I wonder a lot in this show, like, is it because we're old? Is it because we're not youths?
Yeah.
That we don't know the culture?
Yeah.
But from what we observe.
I mean, I don't know very many children at all, and I promise you this is all by design. I feel so awkward around kids, and so like I don't really know what kids are going through, and I really don't know if kids do feel more comfortable now than they may have in 2002, 2003. Mm-hmm. So maybe it is because I'm old.
Well, maybe. I want to ask you one last question because we are an MCR podcast.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're an MCR fan.
Yep.
What's your favorite album? What's your favorite song? Give it to me.
Okay, so I feel a little embarrassed because my favorite album is 3 Cheers.
Okay.
And
Solid.
I feel kind of embarrassed because, like, I feel like I should be coming on this podcast being able to spout out, like, oh yeah, my favorite song is a super obscure live version, or like this one B-side or whatever. No. Man, I fucking love I'm Not Okay, I promise. Yes. I love it so much. It feels so basic or, whatever, but I love it. I love the music video, and it's just so angsty, and as a very angsty elder emo, I guess, it's something that I just love so much. Actually, when Spotify showed me my 2020 like wrap up or whatever, I think it said that the top decade I listened to was early 2000s. Yes. Which I do have some mixed feelings about because I have spoken with some friends who thought that their Spotify results were kind of... They didn't necessarily seem to fit their listening history, and so I'm not sure if mine really did either. But the whole point is, Spotify said that the top song I listened to from the early 2000s in 2020 was I'm Not Okay. Which I think is kind of funny, too, because, 2020.
Yeah, it's a great song for 2020.
Exactly, yeah. Like, of all years for me to blast that song, 2020, why not?
Yes.
I think that's like one of the blessings of being an elder emo is that you can kind of get rid of all of that feeling of like, well, this is super popular, so I can't like it. Like, just, you can start to love things unabashedly, and you can just not be nervous about it.
I mean, I am a little bit of a music snob, and so I do find great joy in, finding, like, demo versions or unreleased nonsense or whatever. So, like, one of my favorite Taking Back Sunday songs, for example, is the demo version of Your Own Disaster, which is, like, a lot harder to find than the one that they actually ended up putting out on, you know, the various soundtracks or whatever. But, yeah, so there is part of me that thinks, like, oh, come on, surely there's some My Chemical Romance stuff out there that you like that's not... I'm not okay, but fuck it. You know what? It's my favorite music video. It's my favorite My Chemical Romance song. So
we accept that. We love that.
Totally valid for that. Yeah.
Follow-up question: did you buy tickets to the reunion tour shows, or at least one of them?
Not entirely, because I wasn't sure. This was my plan, right? I was waiting for the shows to get a little bit closer to, like, the show date, I guess, for me to buy my tickets, because first of all, I was trying to figure out how many tickets I needed to buy. I was already fully convinced that I was going to drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars on floor seats, and I absolutely was going to wait in line for hours just so I could get, like, as close to the stage as possible, right? Yeah. Go big or go home, you know? So I had all the money set aside. I was checking, they were selling through Ticketmaster, right? Or
yes.
Yeah, I was checking Ticketmaster pretty much, like, once a week. I was tracking the prices of floor seats, because sometimes people buy tickets and they try to sell them for way more money than they're actually worth. Dude. But then the closer that the show gets, they start to lower the prices just a little bit when they realize that maybe it's a little unrealistic to try to sell, you know, one ticket for like $1,200 or whatever ridiculous, you know? So I had made up my mind that I was going to at least one show. Yeah, I just didn't pull the trigger just quite yet, because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, how many tickets do I buy? Like, is this something that I'm going to surprise my friends with, where I'm like, hey, what are you doing on Thursday night? Surprise, we've got floor tickets to My Chemical Romance, you know, like something like that. So I was really trying to figure that out, and then the longer I waited, the more COVID became a thing, like in, you know, January and like mid-February and stuff. And so, but then I also thought, like, this might be a really interesting time to buy tickets, because if this whole pandemic thing is going on, maybe people are going to want to sell those tickets. And yeah, but then turns out that pandemic thing is still around, and the tour was so
yeah. At least it's another opportunity to buy tickets, because presumably whenever they're going on again, there'll be something, you know, like but that's a big bummer. I
can guarantee you that whenever, you know, they do go on tour again, or whatever they end up doing, even if it's a fucking live stream, I will absolutely be there.
Yep, yeah. I will take anything.
Absolutely be there.
Anything.
Yeah.
Well, Haley, do you have any other questions?
I think that would be it for me.
Can I have can I ask a question for you guys really quickly?
Oh, yeah, dude.
So, since I am trying to, you know, sort of like increase my Chemical Romance knowledge, and I did mention the whole music snob side of myself that, like, loves B-sides and demos and stuff. Can y'all think of any B-sides or demos that I need to go dig up?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so the Black Parade B-sides, if you haven't heard them already, you gotta Kill Your Friends.
Okay.
You gotta listen to that.
Okay.
Yeah, My Way Home is Through You.
Okay.
Heaven
Also
Help Us. Heaven Help Us is probably my favorite B-side.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, MCR a few years ago released the Black Parade again, but they include a bunch of Black Parade demos on it. It's called Living with Ghosts.
Oh,
so they have like at least 6 demos on that record, I think, which are of varying quality, but there are some really good ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I heartily recommend that. And then also, My personal favorite, like, recording of MCR is in Danger Days. When they toured, they started to redo a lot of their old songs.
Ooh, yeah.
So there are some really good Danger Days era live renditions of The Ghost of You, which is my favorite song.
Oh,
and
cool.
vampires.
I really like.
Okay.
Yeah, and vampires.
Awesome. Thank you. One more question.
Yeah.
What about, okay, so what are your favorite MCR like spin-off, groups or like side projects, solo projects?
Oh boy. I love Frank's stuff. I've been to so many of his concerts, and I think probably my favorite album by him is probably Parachutes.
Okay.
And I think Barriers that he came out with most recently is a close second to that.
Okay.
So those are my two favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do really like Gerard's solo album, but I really liked Frank's newest solo album, which was Barriers. That was just like my record of the summer, and it's just so good. So I picked that one.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I am very excited to give all of these another listen.
If you need any more
Increase my
MCR knowledge, hit us up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will.
Is there anything also that you want to plug?
Yeah, if anyone wants to follow along with my new weird journey as Raven, I am on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Raven is a Poser.
I love that name.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak with us. This has been so awesome.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
All right, well, we will talk to you later. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for talking to us. That was incredible. Like, I think that made a part of my life.
Yeah, it was a goal I didn't know that I had.
Did not know that I had, but I feel so fulfilled. So yeah, catch Sarah on social media at Raven is a Poser. And if you want to follow us,
You can find us on Facebook, My Chemical Fancast, Twitter and Instagram at Chemical Fancast, and email us if you want to talk at mychemicalfancast@gmail.com.
yes. And because we're not doing this podcast regularly anymore, if you want to follow our personal Twitters, my Twitter is at a real cat, KAT.
And mine is at C3P_OH, C3PO.
Follow us online because we're there all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we did. Until next time, I'm Kat.
I'm Haley.
And this is My Chemical Fancast. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
The number one thing we like most out of everything is being goth. And that's just something that we really like, and we're not going to change. And if any of you guys out there have something mean to say, go ahead and say it, but then leave us alone, because we don't care, and we're so over you already.